2018 meeting of the Whitley County Board of Commissioners. We'll start our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First on the agenda, we have Judge Fahl.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Here comes the judge.
Yeah, here comes. Well, I was going to stand up when y'all came in. And what I'm handing you are a couple things, gentlemen, if you haven't received it already. The first is just our schedule for this afternoon. And as you can see, that's all the folks that have been picked up or arrested just since last Monday afternoon. So we've got over almost 30 people on the calendar for this afternoon. So
what are you doing here then?
Well, I'm actually swearing Mr. Shipman in, so he can take it this afternoon, and I'm going to have him do it.
Just moved it.
No, I don't want that.
Be in your way.
But basically what we're asking for is another court reporter. What I have is 3 court reporters right now, one for civil, one for criminal, and then an assistant court reporter that helps both of those folks. And we've just become overwhelmed with a lot of our...
Can we have you sit next to the microphone?
Yeah, sure. I need to be amplified?
Oh, yeah.
That's never happened. What we've got is, we're just kind of in a crisis spot right now. As you can see, just for this afternoon, my staff, both Michelle and Tammy, have probably had lunch on a Monday once or twice at the most in the last 2 months. There's a large number of contributions to this. As George can tell you from the jail task force, we're just exploding. And we're not alone. Kosciuszko County has actually been approved for a full another court, which means another judge and 4 court reporters or 4 staff, because we're all growing in the Highway 30 corridor with the amount of crime that we have coming through. And it's not just crime. We're seeing a lot more cases in general. My court just took over the mortgage foreclosures. And under the mortgage foreclosure statute, there's a great program in place that allows the defendant, the homeowner, to mediate the issue. And there's a gentleman named Rob Applin who's a facilitator paid for by the Supreme Court. But my staff the person only has 30 days to request that. So my staff, as soon as we get a mortgage foreclosure in, has to immediately identify that and then send out a letter indicating to those folks that they have that opportunity. If we don't, or if we're late, say we don't get that out for 2 weeks, person only has 2 weeks, they may not realize it for 3 weeks, they lose their opportunity to keep their home. So it's almost a no-fail situation with some of the staff. And I think I've known most of you for a long time. About as conservative as it gets. I'm not going to sit here and try to bloat the county government just to make it easier. We're just in a tough spot. And what I'm doing is starting the first step in the process of coming to you gentlemen and asking for your approval. And then I'll meet with the council on Wednesday to ask them to approve the appropriate funds if everyone agrees to it. But that's about as quick and down and dirty as I can get it. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions or explain some of this in a little more detail about how the system works and what I plan to do with this additional person.
Is the part-time person going full-time and then you want to?
No, right now the person that I have part-time is actually a temp.
Okay.
And she's through my contracted services. I moved some money over at the end of the year. And we were going to probably run out of money for her at the end of May. And she's indicated that she has a family, doesn't want a full-time job.
Yeah.
So this would be an additional person, but certainly she's been helpful. I wish she would stay.
Yeah.
I've tried to talk her into it, but certainly understand her family's her priority.
What you're asking for is another full-time person?
Correct. It's a full-time assistant court reporter. The exact same job description as the one that Tammy Krieger holds now as a full-time assistant court reporter. My goal would be to take that person, and in essence, they would still all be cross-trained, so that either assistant can do either civil, which is your small claims, your civil, your divorces, all the what we call our civil cases, and also help with the criminal. But what I would do is I would have the new person, in essence, work nearly exclusively on criminal cases. With the advent of specialized driving privileges, with the advent of expungements, The requirement now from the state and the Supreme Court and the DOC, there's a thing called an abstract of judgment, which takes quite a long time to prepare on felony cases. It's a long sentencing order. And in the past, if we did not send someone to the DOC, in my case, a level 6 felony, we didn't have to do an abstract. But now, we have to do abstracts on everyone, even though we send hardly anyone to the DOC. So Laura basically is locked in her office starting Monday afternoon till the end of the week to try to get all those orders generated, because on Monday, we start a whole new round. And in addition to that, a lot of those folks are calling right away because they want their people to have their license back as quickly as possible so they can get back to work or get into work release or do those things. So this, it's in the job description, it's identical to the current position I have, but I would gear this one more towards criminal and then give Deb, my civil court reporter, more assistance with all the small claims cases we have, the myriad number of collections and things of that nature. So that's kind of the hope, if that explains it.
And where would the funding come from?
I'm going to ask for additional appropriations.
So you have money somewhere else?
No, I'm asking for an additional person. An additional funding for that. Basically, I'm
Additional
asking.
funding, okay.
We've searched and
Okay.
I could probably squeeze a little bit here and a little bit there, but not enough to fund a
Not a
person.
full-time.
No. And, you know, this is one of those situations where I'm asking for full-time, but if I walked away with a part-time, I'd be more than happy. But I think the long-term need, I'd just be back in a couple more years asking for the person to go full-time.
It doesn't seem to be an end.
No, we thought maybe last year was an anomaly. We averaged 730 to 750 cases in 2015, 2016. In 2017, we hit 1,031 just on criminal cases, and we're on record to beat that this year. So I was hoping it was an anomaly, and we just had something in the moon caused us to have a lot of extra cases, but we're simply not seeing a slowdown.
The one thing I will say is I was just up in the judges' quarters and offices the other day, and it's not just a couple of forms that they're dealing with each person. It's a packet that it's just from Monday, the paperwork that was piled up was for one person it was amazing.
They look like they're building forts with the files stacked around them. And again, that's part of the job, and we recognize it. It's just become to the point where we're getting slower and slower getting orders out, and that's unprofessional, and also could cause detrimental effects. And at some point, and I hate to say it this way because this is the thing we always use is, if we delay too long on getting a license suspension down to the BMV, and that person goes an extra 2 weeks or 3 weeks without their driver's license, they're going to come back and say, I got to blame somebody. I lost my job, so I want to sue the county, or I want to sue the court, or I'm going to sue somebody. And that's something that we're making sure we avoid, but that's always a potential, and we want to avoid it, even giving that possibility.
I'd make a motion that we give a favorable pass to the council on this for Wednesday.
Okay, we've got a motion to give a favorable pass to an additional full-time employee for the Judge Fahl.
Second.
Got a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Have a good rest of your afternoon.
Thanks, Judge. Okay, Matt, did you have?
I did not, no.
Okay.
It's okay to skip me, I didn't have
Okay. Well, I wanted to get the judge out of here quick.
anything. I just did. Sounds
Sheriff Gatton, amendment to the Whitley County Police Retirement Plan and IT pay.
Well, the retirement plan, I won't be discussing, you guys don't have to clear that as a council, I think that was a mix-up between Jan and I on that
Okay.
one. And then I'm just gonna have some other staff come up and update you on some of the things over at the department. First thing, I just wondered where we're at with the job descriptions that were done, I don't remember the exact dates, and if those were gonna be taken to the personnel committee or where we were at.
Personnel Committee has been meeting, and this is one of the first issues with the Sheriff's Department that we're going to deal with.
Okay, that's what I was back about the IT since,
Yeah.
okay, that's what I needed to know on that one. Back in, I believe, beginning of March, George, I sent you the annual jail report. Did the other two by any chance get to see that?
I thought we did.
Okay. I know it's later
Did it
than normal.
suggest more jailers?
Huh?
Did it suggest more jailers?
It did.
That's the one I saw.
Okay, yes, sir. And sorry for the delay of coming back. March, I couldn't make it, and then in April, it fell on spring break, which Janelle and I both weren't here, so. I'd have probably stayed back, but I'm sure Janelle wouldn't have, so I didn't think it'd be worthy. Just a couple quick things I want to hit on, which drug-related offenses last year in the jail went up 41.875%. So we had 640 people booked in 16 to 908 in 17. We had a decrease of failure to appears or for court hearings, which I guess is a good thing. Some of the other programs in the county have to be doing their job. We had a 8.29% reduction in failure to appears or failure to comply was booked in. One of the big ones that went up was resisting law enforcement. We went up 92.85% last year compared to 2016. And on another positive note, sex offenses went down 35% on bookings in the jail. We went up a total at the jail booked in, which can mean your initial book in, serving time, anything. We had an increase of 37.84 or an additional 431 bookings last year, which we all know then that averages over about an extra day a year, or an extra booking a day throughout the year. And then one of the things I just want to go real quick on, there's always an unneeded funds and projects. The laundry's been on there for the last couple years. I think we put about the washer and dryer that do all the inmates' clothing. Sean and I just finished that this last week, and we'll be upgrading to 2 washers, a little smaller, and the washers went by pounds. I don't know a lot about washers, but the pounds of clothes they could do. The jail will be upgrading to 2 washers and 1 new dryer, which is going to be funded out of commissary money.
But are you going commercial?
They're commercials, yes, Don,
Okay,
both of them are.
okay, good.
Sean, any input on that? Because you talked with the laundry.
On the washer situation, they're Electrolux washers. They're 45 pounds a piece as opposed to the single 55-pound washer that we had. And I think those last were put in '96. They're just out. The dryer broke again today and it's down. So going to 2 45-pound washers up increases what we can do laundry-wise. And if we have one goes down, we're not out a washer. You know, chances are both not going to go at the same time. So. And then the dryer is actually 83 pounds from a 75 pound. And it's Electrolux washer also. Company in Fort Wayne came and did it for us.
How soon do you anticipate those up and running?
They're on order. They expect the washers and dryers to be in this week yet, and then he'll get us on the list to get the install done. So hopefully within the next week or 2.
Okay.
And then back in 2015 and 16, we found out from the jail inspector at the time about what we could bill DOC inmates for level 6 that we hadn't been prior. Jody's worked hard on this. She was the only secretary due to not have enough staffing for her to come over today, but she'll be over on Wednesday. Just wanted to let you and the council know that since July 1st of 2015, when we could go back to when they changed the law on level 6s, DOC has been billed, along with parole and all the level 6s, we have billed out a total of $818,580. At the pace DOC moves, we've collected $212,877.73. There's still a lot outstanding that has been billed, and it looks through most of 18 so far and last of 17, we were averaging somewhere between $28,000 and about $33,000 a month we've been billing. So we have an outstanding of $550,328.28 that we're hoping to get from DOC. I can't tell the time frame that'll come in, and the lady that we work with individually sent out an email last Friday around 10 a.m. said that would be her last day with DOC, so she didn't, her email kind of sounded she wasn't real concerned on who would replace her, but thanks for emailing her. So I'll let you know when that starts coming in. I think, Jana, you've probably seen it, but they've not been in the big increments that we've built out. So they break them down and go through medical, and they have some discrepancies. been DOC adjusted, they've adjusted actually to the positive side of $1,290, so. We'll keep billing that out and try to keep putting it in. I know it'd be great to get it in a one lump sum, but that's just not gonna happen from.
Mark, is that additional to your budget, or do you budget that in?
No, we don't budget that in. That goes, gets deposited right back into county general. So if
Do
we-
you feel that someday it will come, or is it not
I
a
do.
chance?
It should come. We're built up, it looks like they've caught up to, August of 2016 is where we're at with
Oh, they're
receiving
right on
some
it, too.
money. Yeah, and the rest is outstanding.
Does Matt need to get involved in this?
Is it, I mean, is this the same problem every county's having?
Yeah, this is the same
So they're
thing
not
throughout the
picking
state.
on us.
No, this is just the pace that we get money back from the state.
August of 16 is,
We have billed out others, but to sit here and show that we've been paid up to August of 2016 is confirmed.
I'm glad they're on it.
Yeah.
So I just want to give you a quick update. Some of it was backdated, but it would be nice to be able to tell the council that money, even a date, but I cannot. That's all I have. Sean, you have any more on the jail, or?
No, everything, like the sheriff said, everything's up. We're running about 100 incidents a month between the 20 jailers that we have. So, fill out a new section of incident reports, 100 at a time. To keep track of them, and we're doing about 100 reports a month, whether it be medical or inmate incidents. So it's just everything has increased, as we've talked before. So that's the only thing I have to answer.
And the road division, of course, we have 3 on today, thank goodness, and a transport officer, and because of the transports, we had 2 road officers working court at one time, and the road officer doing, or the transport officer doing transports, but I think the judge kind of helped you understand, and you guys know how that's picked up, so. Jason, anything else on the road division? No, sir. Okay, Janelle? Janelle's gonna talk to you, just some increase, I think most you know about, in the dispatch center and the amount of calls that have been coming in.
I went through 2016, 2017, and to the end of April in 2018. Increase from 2016 to 17 is 20.78%. 2016, we answered 75,232 incoming calls. Of those, 10,036 were 911 calls. We do text to 911 now. We had 175 text sessions. 29 were initiated by a caller, and 146 were initiated by us. We usually text when they have a hang-up, pocket dial, whatever, with cell phones. If they don't answer us when we call them back, then we text them to make sure they're okay. Total calls for service in 2016, and this includes 3 police departments and 9 fire departments. We had 16,622. Last year, the total incoming calls, 90,868. Of those, 10,584 were 911 calls. And we had 120 text sessions last year. 30 were initiated by a caller, 90 by us. And our total calls for service, 17,511. So far this year, we are up almost 300 calls for service from this time last year. And if this trend continues, we will have answered 15.15% more calls than we did last year.
Any questions, gentlemen?
So from 16 to 17, it was a 20.87% increase in
0.78, yes.
0.78, and then this year possibly 15, another 15 on top.
That depends on storms and.
Thank you.
Just wanted to kind of give you an update on it.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Scott Wagner, junk and trash extension and the swimming pool ordinance.
So we have several things here for you today. Since Mr. Wilcoxon is here, we'll start with the one extension that we had on the March 5th Commissioners meeting. Give Mr. Wilcoxon 60 days extension. That's now surpassed 60 days. Went out there this morning, he had me come out, take a look. He does still continue to have some stuff out there he's got to take care of. I invited him to come so you could ask him questions on, his time frame on finishing the project, what that might be, and discuss that. Mike, did you want to speak to that? What do you think?
I'd like 7 more days, we'll be done. We've been working on it every day. Clock every night, that's up. Question until 2:30 Saturday night. Got to break down the machine now, and we're getting it done. 50 acres of junk. Through the winter, and I didn't want to mud the whole place up. Had 50 flats probably. Trying to get all stuff out of there. So if I could get 7 more days, done by 3.
Okay.
So is that a promise?
Yeah.
7 days? Because it looks like your weather is going to be in your favor this week.
That'd be out there better.
Okay.
He'll have some vehicles that will need to have VIN numbers returned to the court so they can dispose of them. You took them off today?
That truck, they said he drove it the other day. I was talking to him after
Okay,
lunch.
he's got to show me that they run, otherwise the guy would be removed, so.
Oh.
Okay. But other than that, if he keeps the pace he's keeping last week, he should get it done in 7 days.
You're okay with that?
Yeah, you guys make the decision on that. I think it'd probably be cheaper to keep the existing bid than rebid it out at this moment.
I make a motion that we give him 7 days.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion to extend the time frame for the removing the trash for another 7 days. We've got a second. Further discussions?
Just let's be honest with each other about when we're talking about. So I'm thinking at the end of the day on the 15th. All right with that? Just so we know exactly when we're talking about. Okay.
Okay, further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thanks, Mike.
Okay, the next agenda, we had a court order to clean up junk and trash and abandon a septic tank at the property at 7240 East US 33, which was Metro Real Estate property. I was here last time to get bids for that. We've sent bids out. I've got one reply. It was accidentally opened by our office personnel, but I think it's not a big deal since there was only one reply.
Yeah. The place looks better.
Yeah, since the order was issued, that gentleman was in contact with the attorney, and he's removed the junk and trash. The only thing that's left to do is to abandon the septic tank property.
That's how I would have guessed, because all the boats and all the trailers and everything's out of there. That's a nice location.
We're hoping that Blue Licks District will come up and grab all those houses in Timber Lane and that house eventually.
Yeah.
With sewer, so.
Yeah.
He actually asked a contractor to come out, look at options for putting a septic system in, but I called that contractor this morning and he hasn't responded, so I guess we move forward with abandonment.
If this is the only one we got, it's for $1,200.
Yes. That's pumping the tank out, crushing in the lid.
That's a pretty
From the center level.
reasonable charge for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I move we approve it.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve Earth Pros, $1,200 to pump and remove the septic. Any further discussions?
That just goes on his tax bill, right?
Right, so once we get the invoice, I'll take the Janet, she'll put it on the lien and.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, no
Nothing
further discussion. Those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
It's okay, you can take care of it.
Yep.
Did they, I didn't see, did they have a completion date?
Usually it's 30 days, but he'll be done with it faster than
Right.
that. Okay, the next item is public swimming pool. 1998, the State Department of Health stopped doing public swimming pool inspections in the counties. They only do them at now state parks or state inns where people stay. So that was dropped to the counties. Since that point, I have inspected public pools that are open for business every month since 1998 for free. We've gone there, we make sure that they have their weekly water test, they're closed if they don't comply or if they have bad water tests. We've done this all under the state code. We have no existing administrative rules for that. So I brought this before the health board. The health board did pass it unanimously to send it to you guys. I've sent a copy to Matt for his review. Of course, our health department attorney reviewed it. So it's for your review, what you think. It does have a small fee, yearly fee for those, depending on whether they're year-round or seasonal pools. If the Holiday Inn opens up, that will be 6 pools for the county public pools.
That's just what I was gonna ask you, how many there were.
We have the YMCA and the Quality Inn that are year-round pools right now. Then that would be also the Holiday Inn if we add that one in if they open up. We'll have the Fahl Aquatic Center, Forest Ridge Campground, and then we also have the Quail Ridge Apartments that opened up last year. We have a pool in there. So overnight, we basically done.
So how do you anticipate collecting those fees?
So we'll send out a letter once the ordinance is accepted and say, hey, you have to give us a fee. This year, it will probably be July 1st. We'll ask them to submit that. It's a couple months. Then next year, it'll be January. We'll collect it every year.
Is that a separate thing? Will that be included in their taxes?
No, it'll be a separate thing they'll have to come in and pay for. And we'll still do our monthly inspections, and we receive their water test through email every week. So they're reviewed, just like this last week. There was a place that failed their water test 2 weeks in a row. They had to be closed. We'll just monitor that. We keep records of all of our visits. We send back a letter of any recommendations or violations to the state law, and that will say an ordinance. Just like with septic system installers, they have to get licensed every year. Food, retail food people, to come in every December and January.
I did look at it, and I didn't see, the only thing I had a question about is the public, semi-public, those terms aren't necessarily defined, and I'd hate for there to be what's semi-public if...
So the way Allen County takes that is if somebody has a pool in their backyard or indoors, and they charge people to do swimming lessons, then that's a semi-public. If you have friends over and you're helping them, their kids learn how to swim, you're not charging anything, that's not like you bring people in and they're charging that, then that's public.
Do you
Are you-
feel like that should be in here?
Are you aware of any of those?
There's probably a handful of places in Whitley County that have indoor,
Not very many.
that are private.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you want to review it, we can come back next.
Well, that was my only thought, is that, that it doesn't say what you just said of what a
The state law, did
semi-private
you
is.
look at the state law, does it define it more clearly?
I didn't
I'm pretty sure
look
that-
at that specifically, but the only other thing I saw is that the date needs to be changed.
Right, I did take this copy that I have here,
Oh, you
May
do?
of 2018.
Okay. I mean, ultimately, we were talking about $100 and $200 fee for 6 people, whether we need to, table it and flush out what's semi-private or not. It just wasn't clear to me when I read it. I wasn't sure. That was my suspicion. It would be Quail Ridge is what I thought of, because I don't think I can go swim there, but if you live there, you can swim there, and that.
There, they can bring family.
I don't know, so you don't have any strong feelings either way?
Not really. I mean, I can't think of the scenario where I could see it being an issue is a neighbor dispute,
Yeah.
somebody's got a pool and, well, he makes the kids bring such and such over, and then, and then Scott's regulating the dispute between you two neighbors about a swimming pool. It's not clearly defined what a semi-private pool is. I don't anticipate that happening, and if it did, I think we could deal with it, but as lawyers, we can always think of a crazy scenario that's not covered, and that's what comes to my mind in this one.
That's all they'd have to do is put it in the definitions.
Yeah, and if you just define what semi-private is, then, is there an urgency to get this done before the pool opens or anything, or maybe?
We could still those pools and regulate through the state code. Just get any benefit.
I think we'd feel more comfortable if we,
Just table it. And
I will
discuss
put
it.
definitions
copy
in
of
to
it?
Matt.
Yeah. We need a motion to table it.
yeah.
Yeah, I move we table it till next meeting.
Second, motion to table, we got a second, further discussion. All
Is
those-
that the next meeting good enough?
Yeah, I mean, Scott, are you
I'll
gonna?
get it to you.
You can try, yeah.
All right.
Make sure we
I
all
think we
get
already both
copies
know what
of
it is.
All those in favor, raise your right hand, opposed, the same. Thank you.
The last thing I have on the agenda, with my recent hand surgery and other one planned, do have a little bit of a conflict with weights and measures. This time of year, I typically do gas stations. I've took the liberty of calling Paula Warden, asking if there might be an individual or individuals in her department that may be willing to do the manual labor of pouring the gas back into the underground tanks for me.
Your tank?
No. My funnel's too big for that. I would still be on the site. I would record the information, pump the gas itself, just the lifting of the 35 to 40 pound container and dumping it. I won't be able to do that, and I may not be able to get done by the time the state wants that done if I wait. So I didn't know, I kind of needed your vetting on that. Obviously, I'm not paying somebody for that, so maybe working out their hours.
Sort of makes sense to me.
I don't have any issues, as long as you feel comfortable.
Well, and this would just be this one circumstance that
Yeah.
I'm able to do that.
And there's always people that's looking for community service hours.
Right. Yeah. I will get a hold of Paula and have her vet somebody that would be specific for that.
Be a pretty sweet community service, if you ask me.
You just can't smoke when you're doing it. So.
Or use a cell phone.
That's right.
Or use a cell phone.
Okay. If that's all right with you, then I'll contact you.
Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Next on the agenda, we have Julie Jensen-Kelley, YMCA Corporate Challenge.
How come you couldn't sit down and they leave?
Along with that, I'd like to also do Jill's presentation. She had an appointment that she had to go to, so I'm here to ask you for $500 for the county to, again, participate in the corporate challenge to the YMCA. I think we've done it for 4 years, I think, at least. Everyone seems to enjoy it. It's after hours. If it's approved, I'll ask Angie to kind of help me send out an email to anyone who's interested. But it's a good time, and I think the employees appreciate it, to get together after work and to participate in those activities with the other companies in the county as well.
I'd make a motion that we approve the $500 for the YMCA Corporate Challenge, Whitley County team.
Got a motion, we got a second. Further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand, opposed, the same.
And then what Jill was here for today was the drug-free Indiana money. Our comprehensive plan was finally approved by the state, which allows us then to go ahead with the grant requests. I think that she sent a copy to all of you in regards to what those requests look like. There's 3 categories. What we do is we take all of the money and we usually just divide it equally between the categories. They're pretty similar to years past requests. There's just one little correction to make on the second page of the request. Under the work release program, the programming cost, instead of ART in that section, it should be relapse prevention books. But like I said, it looks pretty similar to all the other years. I think this year Youth for Christ was added in, so they're another program that has joined us as well with Drug Free Indiana. All the other ones are pretty much the same. So I just need an approval on that budget there for that grant money, and then on Wednesday, Jill will go to council and ask the same.
Do you have any feeling on the amount of that grant?
Well, what it is it's the $200 that gets collected for any drug or alcohol-related offense, mostly through Judge Fahl's court. And so that money gets collected into a big fund, and then in October, we ask for grants. We have a monthly meeting, and so we do require anyone who's going to ask for funds to attend at least 6 meetings a year. That way we have participation from everyone, not just people coming in to ask for grant money. And so the categories are we appreciate the categories as well. It helps with some of the SAD programs. So I think last week or the week before it was in the paper with Churubusco's prom program. Most of those things are paid through this grant money. So it is something for the kids. They write their grants, and then they use that money for their programs throughout the year.
I'd make a motion, we approve the program.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve the DFI grant. We've got a second. Further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
I just have 2 other quick things. I was telling Don earlier that the generator will be ready to go on Thursday. So we won't have power for quite some time. We'll have limited access. I think the phones are going to work. But other than that, Paul's made some arrangements for us to maybe use the government center for a meeting. Probation, I think we're going to use workstations there so that our staff can be as productive as possible with no power for 8 to 10 hours. And so that should be done Thursday evening. So thank you for that. We really appreciate it. And also 2 weeks ago, we had our first Veterans Court graduation. We graduated 3 individuals, had a little ceremony, and it went really well. Senator Zay came to the graduation, which we appreciated, and also Jim Banks sent a representative from his office as well. And Justice Goff was our keynote speaker, and he did a very good job at talking with our veterans that were in the court. So
Good job.
that was it.
Thank you.
Good job.
Brandon Forrester, Highway Department Engineer and Director.
So a couple weeks ago, I shared with you through Jana the packet of information that I prepared for the council for the meeting on Wednesday, and I'll be requesting some additional appropriations for several different items, and a lot of what I'm talking about today is kind of all related to that, and some of those things are then interrelated. The biggest item is salt barn that we've talked about, the need for, and there's multiple reasons why we need it, but I'm not going to rehash all of that, but I am prepared, pending the council's decision, to approve the funds to advertise for bids for the material package. We'll take bids for the material package, and then we'll also take separate bids then for the installation construction. But at this point in time, the critical path on the project would be getting the materials. We're talking 4 by 14, 4 inch by 14 inch by 30 foot long timbers. And those come all the way from the West Coast, obviously special ordered, specially fabricated. So I've worked with our consulting engineer. American Timber Bridge is helping with the specs, and run the specs past Craig Wagner, building inspector, and Kevin and I have also looked at it. We've gotten some feedback both ways and made some changes, and we're comfortable with the specs that we have. What I would ask of you is to sign this notice to bidders to accept the bids at your June 4th meeting at 1 o'clock, give or take, on the time. And that is for material for the construction of a new salt storage facility at the Whitley County Highway Department. And of course, that would be subject to approval of the appropriation by council on Wednesday. But I'm kind of in a situation where I'm trying to get ready to go on vacation, and I need to have every duck lined up perfectly. So if you would care to sign this subject to ultimate approval by council, then we can have that ready to go and get it advertised twice for that meeting.
And this is not property tax money.
No. None of the requests that I'm asking for on Wednesday are not one penny is property tax money or any.
Just want to make that clear.
Yeah, there's no residual request
Right.
for property tax money.
Okay.
It's purely gas tax money, depending on how you look at it. Community crossings money that we received as a reimbursement. Part of that money, you could say, is being applied to this. It all goes in the MVH fund, but.
I make a motion, we approve the notice to bidders.
Got a motion to approve notice to bidders for the salt barn. We've got a second. Further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Thanks for working on this, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon.
It's been exciting, challenging, and if we get it built, it'll be rewarding. A couple of things that came up with discussion with commissioners and council about these additional appropriations is work to be done to improve some of the roofs out at the highway department. We had talked last year about that. We talked about it, this year. We've actually looked at, we're in the middle of a third different option. They make a spray-on, it's kind of a rubberized material that will, I'm sure do a fine job. We got prices from several different companies on that. And just for comparison, we got a price from one company just to put a new roof on. And it's comparable. I mean, $60,000 to $65,000 for either one. So our thinking on that is you might as well just put a new roof on. Now we are looking at right now, and I haven't heard back. I met with a painter last week and a Sherwin-Williams representative to get a price just to, power wash and treat the rusted areas and just repaint it. Now, I'm just kind of expecting that when we get that price, it will be cheaper than a new roof. But when you look at life expectancy, I think the better choice is going to be a new roof. If everything else that we request on Wednesday is approved, we won't need to request any additional money for that. But I want everybody to know that that is still in the plan, and there would be money available, and we would plan on getting that done hopefully yet this year. And that would be for the the office building and then the two buildings south of that. If you drive by, you can see the rusted streaks, you know, they've been neglected, so that's one thing also that we're working on outside of these additional appropriation requests. And then another thing that was brought up, and we've talked about it for years, is a storage tank for the asphalt emulsion that we use for the total patcher. You know, as it is right now, we got a 250-gallon tank. We spray that off, we drive to Warsaw, sit and wait to get reloaded, come back, day's about done. So they make vertical storage tanks, and Kevin actually did the legwork for us on this. They make a tank that you can mount on a trailer that is 1,000 gallons. And either way you go, you've got to keep that material heated, and you've got to use it before it goes bad, because it will. Emulsion is asphalt that's suspended in water, and if you don't keep it heated properly, or it just, over time, that asphalt will settle out, and you can get into big problems. You know, obviously these plants, you know, they have mixers and they're constantly cycling through. We're just thinking that the 1,000-gallon tank on a trailer is probably the better option for us, because we can send one person on a rainy day to Warsaw, and they basically pick up enough for the better part of a week, if nothing else. It would make it better for us at quite a bit cheaper. And then again, that's something that we still have a little bit of money left in our equipment line item, and we could make that happen without assuming that all of these other additional appropriations take place. So just want to let you know that we are thinking about that also. Now, this is, I'm sure, highly anticipated and waiting pins and needles. This is, again, contingent on funding approval. This plan actually, you know, is beyond what we originally had budgeted for this year. Of course, last year in July, when we proposed the budget, we don't know the full impact of the gas tax increase and revenue for highway funding. So, you know, we measured every segment of every road again this year. We looked at a combination of roads that desperately need a chip seal. You know, this winter and spring was kind of rough on some of our roads, and some of our roads went from not too bad to whoa, we got to do something now. So we've got obviously some of the roads in there for that, and then we've got some roads like, for instance, and the green roads are for 2018. This is a road that had been recycled years back, never got third coat. Need to get that done. For example, 200 South that we did in 2017, we really should have third coated that in 2016, but it seemed okay, and we had other things more important, and we let it go, and just that 1 year, it deteriorated quite a bit. So some of these, 950 West, Dowell Road, those are all third coat. They really didn't get their third coat yet. 300 North is another one.
I see some Anderson.
We've got planned Airport and 250 West to actually do some wedge and leveling, have mid-block do some wedge and leveling with a thin kind of a scratch course to get things leveled up. Those roads are really rough. They're not going to be brand new state highways paved with, you know, smoothness like a state highway, but and then we'll chip seal over that. because it's gonna be such a thin coat, you're gonna have to protect it or it'll ravel. But those roads, block two, we've got the high school road, we're gonna level up a little bit, River Road, we're gonna level up a little bit. So, again, I mean, this is not totally carved in stone, because to do all that, we need more money. This is a big expense down here. These conversions, gravel road conversions that have essentially failed. And so we're basically going to start over. We've talked about it, we've hashed it out, we've been there half a dozen times. We would go in there and kind of hit and miss and dig some stuff out, and a lot of times by the time you do that, what was good, what you thought was good, you tear up hauling material in and out. So that's what we're looking at.
Okay.
Anything beyond 2018 is just a plan, but I will say I have big plans for 2019. I've got a really nice community crossings project that we want to propose. We'll actually propose later this year. They haven't done a call for projects yet, but everything in blue that you see up here, all around here, we're looking at significantly improve all of those roads up there that
Sure.
will impact a lot of people. So.
Yeah, it would.
All right, thank you.
Brandon, you were talking about with the highway barn replacing the roof. Is that actually putting metal over what we've got, or how we
tear off the new metal roof? And that's another advantage to that is you tear that old off. If you have any, it's wood under there, and if there's anything rotten needs replaced, you get that done. You've got a new roof. Back to the salt barn real quick. We've also got set up to do soil borings. We've got professional services line item, so that's a couple $1,000s to have. You need to have that where we're proposing to put it. Had been filled years ago. I'm hopeful that it's all settled and decent enough material. I think we'll be good there, but just so you know, we've got that also in the works. Again, funding pending. One other thing that has come up recently, and I think I had about 6 people forward this email to me about this new TRACS program that NDOT is proposing. The state is going to bond for $125 million to try and help locals eliminate at-grade crossings and at railroad crossings. And so I went to a meeting at NDOT, and I don't want to get anybody too excited or, have a big media blurb or anything, but we are looking into a project to propose for that program, and $125 million is a lot of money to us, but when you start building bridges over railroad crossings, it's going to get burned up real fast. At the meeting, there was a representative from the city of Fort Wayne, and whether it was tongue-in-cheek or just kidding, he pretty much said that he could spend that $125 million just in Fort Wayne. So we'll see. But I've been talking with some people locally and in the area, and everyone that I'm talking to says that's a great idea. Go for it, and I've got some support already locally, and we'll see how that goes. More news coming. Keep you all on the edge of your seat on that one. I did want to let you know there is, you will be seeing, right now it's in development plan review stage, and it will be coming before the Plan Commission, but a development out at Park 30 where they are, and the reason I bring it up is because they are proposing a new road, a cul-de-sac similar to a Progress Court out there. In fact, just east of there. But I have reviewed the development plan. They need to up their asphalt cross-section a little bit, and there's one area where I just want to make sure they have the drainage clarified, and then I think they're going to schedule a development plan review later this week, and it'll go before the Plan Commission third Wednesday, and it'll be coming to you. But there is a new road being proposed, so just wanted to let you know about that. And then I just got an update. It was actually this morning for the Liberty Mills project. Most of the storms approved. There's a couple change orders that have been approved. I'm working with Allen County and NDOT and the A&Z engineering consultant. There were some grade issues that needed to be corrected, so they're changing the grade on one end, on our end actually. They're having some issues with people moving barricades. That's kind of hard for me to believe, but so like I say, the storms should be finished this week. Dirt crew is working. There's been some utility issues. They may have gotten into a 8-inch high pressure gas line, if you didn't hear about that, but that slowed things down a little bit there for a while. And so the project's moving forward. It was slow starting with the weather, but they're making up for it right now. On the two roads that we're planning on reconstructing down Jefferson Township, I've got letters written. If we get the funding for the whole plan, we're going to send letters to all the landowners, letting them know the process, because their road a few years ago was gravel, and then they got chip seal, and then it was broken chip seal, and we're going to go in there and tear it all up again. But we're going to get it torn up, calcium, chip sealed, all in one season. So, as you know, our office manager resigned, moved on to greener pastures, and so we had a gal come in part-time, and she is working out well. We got payroll and claims turned in today, and I'm gonna say we didn't miss a beat. Now there's a lot for this gal to learn, but I got confidence she's gonna do just fine. I've asked Matt, this is kind of a council thing, but FYI for you, we're proposing a new fund to be created for the highway department. It's essentially, it's like we have right now, we have highway and local road and street. Highway really should be called Motor Vehicle Highway Fund, and it should receive motor vehicle highway monies. We receive other wheel tax and reimbursements, and when we sell scrap, money goes in there. When we collect driveway permits or buggy plates, money goes in this miscellaneous fund. The relatively new state law says we have to spend 50% of our MVH money on construction, reconstruction, and preservation of roads. So this is a way for us to more easily do our accounting, so that when we do our annual report at the end of the year, we can justify and hopefully not have any issues with State Board of Accounts. So that will also go before council on Wednesday. And Jana, you have a couple right-of-way permits?
I do.
Yeah, the first one we have, it's a right-of-way permit for the east side of West County Line Road from Lakewood Drive to 7303 West County Line Road. And that's for the gas main for NIPSCO.
And that was not related to the Liberty Mills project. That was due to vehicular accident damage, so it's kind of, emergency-like.
Okay.
Right. Move we approve it.
Second. Got a motion to approve, we've got a second. Further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you. Okay, the second one we have is permit to bury a 25-pair cable along the east side of County Road North 450 West in Atna-Troy Township from CenturyLink.
So Tom can finally have a phone.
Yeah. I move we approve it.
Second.
Got a motion to approve, we've got a second. Further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
I think I had that out.
That's all I had, unless you had any questions for me.
Thank you, Brandon.
No,
Thank you,
thank
Mayor.
you.
Thank you.
I'll be here Wednesday morning.
You will be here Wednesday morning? Great.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
We'll see.
Well, we'll see. I'm confident.
Okay, next on the agenda, we have Mary Hartman, Peabody Public Library Board of Trustee appointment.
That was Mr. Hoffmeyer.
Good afternoon. How's everybody?
Hey.
Good.
Yes.
I'm here to ask you to reappoint Greg Hockmeyer to our board for another 4-year term. Greg's done a fantastic job for us, and I asked him if he'd be interested in serving another term, and he indicated that he would. So you're the appointing authority for this, so I'm here asking you for that.
Okay, I'd make a motion that we appoint Gregory Hockmeyer onto the Peabody Public Library Board.
We have a motion to
Reappoint.
approve Greg Hockmeyer for Peabody Library Board.
Second.
Got a second? Further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same.
Thank you
Mary.
very much.
That was painless, wasn't it?
Yes, it sure was.
You have to sign this. Or just one of us.
I'm sorry.
Will you send that to me, or
Just
will you
George.
sign it
And
today?
just George needs to sign it, correct?
Correct.
Yep, just send it there and then you can have it.
That was quick and easy.
Yeah. If you just want to send me a copy, that way I have it, okay?
Thanks so much.
Copy too. Right also, it's,
Angie.
Okay, easy thing, open enrollment is officially for group benefit renewal, May 21st through June 8th, just so you know that. Okay, we have multiple requests to use county facilities. Okay, so I have two from Ms. Goldwood. She is renting, I'll just pass this out. The old gas station facility at the corner of, I believe, Washington and Van Buren. county-owned parking lot is on the west side of Washington Street. This is drive one. The one request is just to be able to allow her patrons to park in the county parking lot for her cafe and possible farmer's market. That's it.
So is this a 7-day-a-week operation?
I think it's Monday through Saturday, is it not? Yeah, Monday through Saturday. Yeah.
Okay. And your name again?
Kanda Goldwood.
Okay.
Yeah, I have, it's just they're very limited on the parking that's there. I'm renting that old Geiger, and it's just not safe to put people parking in front there. The grandfather is 2 spaces, and I just don't think it's gonna work like that. So I'm trying to find, I have Carnivore Fitness beside me, so I could possibly use some of that. I'm just trying to figure out my options before we open.
Sure. You see any issues, Matt, or?
Yeah, I mean, you know, anytime somebody's parking under a parking place and there's an issue, somebody falls,
Liability.
slips, whatever, there's always a liability issue.
I'm trying to think of
People park in there all the
government
time.
providing parking for private enterprise. Are we gonna have to build a parking lot every place for every business?
Here's my attitude about it, is people park in there all the time.
Yeah, they do for
Officially,
the
we can't
auction.
let them, and
Right.
people obviously park there all day. And I don't think anybody's gonna come tow anyone necessarily. but
That's
I
my
don't kn- I
concern,
don't
if
know that
I'm
we
during
can
lunch.
give you permission. Do you know what I mean? That's kind of my attitude about it, is that, what Don said, is look, if you give a county parking lot that potentially there was a use for that maybe it doesn't get used very much anymore, but you
Right.
still can't necessarily say you can use it unless we could figure out a way to do some kind of an indemnity agreement that would say, you know, you cover insurance and protect us, and then we could consider it, I suppose.
Or non,
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
what's the proper terminology?
well, it's an indemnity agreement, so anyone, but I mean, you know, who do you know, whether they're your customer, and then they go to the barber shop, and then they go to the fitness.
I'm trying to be a nice neighbor, like I'm trying to let Carnivore, so that, because people will park there, and if there's events in the evening, they're gonna park there. And I mean, I don't know how to control that.
Because there's no street parking at all there, is there?
No, but the planning and building is letting me to put, you know, because for handicap, I could put 2 alongside. It would be actually moved in, so it's not in the street. It would be moved in more in my parking lot, and I could put 2, but the way the handicap is, you have to have 1 spot, and then you have to have the lines so that you have able to unload.
Matt, we'd looked at leasing that at one time, leasing it out. Is that?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, that's an option as well, potentially. I mean, I guess my thought is, it's probably something we should sit down and come up with have a conversation about, as opposed to just approving it.
Yeah, and you're welcome to come down there and look and just see kind of what I have. I mean, you know, I just don't have any parking, and I just kind of want to put maybe even, and that's with the city, but I'm going to put like pop-up tents there, so there's going to be more places that people are going to need to park when they come and.
You mean the pop-up tents would be in this parking lot? Or on
In
your-
my parking lot,
Oh, yeah.
parking lot. I mean, if I could do it, work it out where we could, eventually, that's the next thing, if we could work it, where I could do that, if we're leasing it or however. But if that doesn't work, I'll just put them in my parking lot.
Is it the potential of actually leasing the parking lot? I guess it's something you guys have talked before. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. I'm just starting a business, so the
Yeah.
price, I don't know.
Depends on the price, right?
I think it was, we offered it to the the apartments across the street there at one time, and they
They are
decided.
currently leasing it, or?
No, nobody. The issue that we have, and if you talk to Mark Sturtevant, our maintenance director, what's happened there is the surface is getting to the point where we're gonna have to do something with that. And so we either, re-asphalt it, or, and really, nobody uses that as far as the government's concerned, and it's not a good, it's kind of a waste of funds at that point, but we really need to do something with that. And I guess I'm like Matt, I think we need to talk about it and discuss a little bit about what we would be willing to do and what's possible.
Okay.
When do you open it, when?
I'm looking at June, but I have what is called a CSA program, so people will come pick up their box of produce on Wednesdays. So it potentially, 100+ people, so it could get a little busy, and that's what I'm concerned with. So,
But in June is when that'll start?
yeah,
So we've got
first week
at
of
least a
June.
little
Yeah, we
bit.
got a little bit of time, but yeah, I guess I didn't think of all this, I thought, I
it's going.
noticed the signs the other day. I didn't really realize the sign, because I see that everyone parks there for that auction that's on Friday nights. So I was.
And they
I was-
didn't ask, so they just do it.
So I'm
Yeah.
just trying to be a neighbor.
No, and I appreciate you asking as opposed to just
Yeah.
using it like
Yeah.
other people have, so.
Yeah.
There may be lots of options. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe somebody would be interested, frankly, in buying it, or the city maybe could use it, or.
Yeah, well, we talked to the city, and they don't want anything to do with it.
They didn't want to touch it.
We've looked at a lot of options.
Yeah, and I'm just out of the
Yeah,
loop on them. so
yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
But
you have her contact info.
Yes. Yeah.
I'll call you.
Okay,
We'll
all right.
figure out a
Okay, great.
straight talk.
Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Yes, and then do that, okay? Okay. Okay, Downtown Business Alliance will be beginning their first Friday of every month event, events beginning in June and running through October. So the first request is for the banner on the courthouse square at the corner of Main and Van Buren, which they will post 2 weeks before the first Friday of each month.
So it'll be up 2 weeks, down 2 weeks.
I'm sorry, what was that?
So it'll be up 2 weeks, down 2 weeks. Yeah, how big a banner is it?
How big of a banner?
Just one, kind of wraps around the corner.
Do you know the dimensions?
Same as last year, 20 feet,
I can't remember.
about 12 feet,
12 feet, yeah.
about 12 feet by 3 feet.
Do you want to take each of these requests individually?
Because we talked about this, the big sign also.
Over here in the alley, you mean?
It's the same one they used last year?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to take each item at a time? Okay.
Yeah,
Yep, so that's the first one, is
That's
the
fine,
sign.
okay. I'll make a motion, we approve that one.
yeah,
Got a motion to approve, we got a second,
second.
discussions. All those in favor, raise your right hand, opposed, the same. That's the banner on the courthouse square.
Okay, so the next request is from the Downtown Business Alliance, and it's for the first Friday of every month events, also June through October, for the bouncy house on the courthouse square. Which they did last year as well.
I move we approve it.
Got a motion to approve,
I'm just going to second for discussion.
second for discussion.
Mark, what damage is done to our yard?
None. The only thing I would request for that one is, are we gonna put it in the same place every time?
Pretty much. We have 811 come on and stake it out where we can put it, so it's basically between Market and Chauncey right on that corner.
I guess my request would be that if we call for locates once, we don't need to call for locates every single month.
That would be great.
If it's in the same place, there's
Great.
nothing in the yard there, so we're okay with it, other than that.
In who assumes the liability when somebody gets hurt in it?
The people who are sponsoring the bouncy house, they had to show proof of insurance to the city, and they also had to show proof that it would be stabilized down and secure.
Could we get a hold harmless agreement?
I think, don't you also have I think I even did it for you guys,
Yeah,
maybe,
we
a release
also
that
have
each
the
individual
parents
parent has to
a no
sign.
liability clause so that their child can get in there.
Okay. Okay.
Does the bouncy house come from BJ's?
We're getting, no,
No.
we're getting two from two separate places.
Do the rental businesses require locates?
One is sandbagged,
Okay,
so there's no digging.
Okay.
The other is Precision Rental, yes.
That release that I did actually
Okay.
protects the county as well as the DBA. It's
Good enough.
capable of everyone. I made
Yeah, I
it so
just
that it'll
don't, I
cover
don't want
everybody.
us to be liable. Excuse me.
One thing, yeah, and then hold Artemis as long as we're named.
Yeah. So I'll call for the vote then, I guess.
Yep, call for the vote.
Yep.
Okay, any further discussions? All in favor, raise your right hand, opposed the same. Thank you.
okay, so the next one is I don't know if you want to call it the alley or the easement, it's located on the east side of the government center between Ball Furniture and us. They're requesting to put 2 benches, which are non-permanent, 2 flower pots, and a portable flower cart along the alleyway.
It will not be where the pavers are. It'll all be in next to the building. Nothing will be out where the pavers are, where if a truck had to go through.
Mark? Input?
I just want to make sure that there was not going to be anything blocking that fire.
The fire exit, yeah, absolutely.
From the
No.
Yep, okay.
If everybody's happy, I'll move we approve it.
Second.
Okay, we got a motion to approve the benches, flowers, and flower cart and the county alley. We got a second. Any further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
Okay, and their final request is for the permanent sign, which I emailed you guys, on the Van Buren side between the Government Center and Ball Furniture. It was also requested by the Downtown Business Alliance.
All right, what do you gals got to say about that?
We like it. We did talk to Sean Licky, and he said as long as it's 18 feet high, there would be no interference with the city truck if it had to go down there. Mr. Ball has approved it. So we're waiting on you. We will finance it. Everything that the DDA does for the county, there is no cost.
That's my phone going off.
Huh? Well, that's your phone.
That's my phone, sorry.
Well, how's this going to be fastened to the building?
It will be molded with metal plates. It'll be, and it'll be professionally hung by the Indiana Sign Works.
Is this permanent year-round?
Permanent year-round.
You know, Sheriff, I think it's beautiful,
Thank you.
but there's no way I can go for it.
Why?
Because I really don't want anything bolted onto our side of the building that bolts onto somebody else's building. That's just not a good, you know, this building's only 2005, and we're gonna start putting, Mark, you wanna speak to it? Maybe I ought to be quiet and let you speak to it.
I do have some concerns there. Along with what you were saying, these buildings move differently. So we're gonna put stress on that sign and the mounting fasteners. If that isn't taken into account for, we're gonna end up with a damaged building that we're gonna have to incur costs on.
Is there a way to mount that sign on a stand or a leg or,
There is.
I'm just asking.
There isn't that we can do. We would have to talk to Indiana Sign and they could do a metal post coming
That's
down,
right.
but it would have to be mounted onto the cement. But they can do that.
I'm just asking.
It's more money.
I'm not sure we can get an 18-foot clearance with the turret that hangs out on that corner of the building. Because the turret, the bottom of the turret is 14 feet. So if you go any higher than 14 feet, the turret's gonna be in the way. So do you put it in front of the turret? And if you do, then it's gonna be right in front of the window, so if you look out the window of the turret, you're gonna see nothing but the sign. If you put it north of the turret, farther back, you're really not gonna see it from the street.
And I also know that Nathan had expressed some concerns in regards to the sign ordinance on what the sign would have to require in regards to other signs that are mounted on Ball Furniture's building. That email, but he had some additional.
I just think it's beautiful, but I just can't support it. I just don't think we should do that.
I think it's a nice look. It does look really good. I just wish we could find a different way to mount it besides the two buildings.
Yeah.
Well, we'll go back and rethink this. We was over in Warsaw, their alley, down in Kokomo, their alley is arched from building to building. So we just kind of mimicked that when we had this drawn up.
Sharon, where's it at in Warsaw?
The alley in Warsaw is next to a coffee shop. It's downtown, but they got tables and chairs and papers and.
Is it on Main Street or what's?
Center Street.
Center Street?
No, it's off at Center and Block.
Actually, we turned on Buffalo Street to
Yep.
get to it, so it might be
Yeah.
on Winona.
Oh, that far south.
I really like your sign, but
Yeah, I do too.
We are upgrading our art in the alley this year. We're doing more of an artsy kind of a thing in the alley where we're having a different kind of arts theme each month. And then all of the pop-ups will be over at the plaza and in the alley next to the shoe store. So we're kind of making this more of like an artsy alley.
this picture may be a little off, but on the scale, but you don't have near 18 feet on this picture.
I got my spec, but no, I went out there and measured it.
And if the city wants 18 feet, I don't know how you're gonna handle it.
That's where you get into the turret, right?
That's where-
Right, Mark? Yeah, that's where you get into the turret.
But the sign looks really good, but
Yeah, it does. I can't argue that point.
See, someone,
What about the other side of the street?
they actually have
You know
a
what,
utility
we'll
easement.
rethink and redo the whole thing, and then maybe we'll come back later.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
yeah, if you got any questions, run them across Mark before you get too. You know how to get a hold of him?
No,
I'll give you time.
From Snyder?
So are you tabling it?
We'll just table it.
Pardon me?
An $8,000 it's going to cost, so we want to make sure that we get it done.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
That's correct.
Yeah, I don't blame
You
you.
want it.
I'll make a motion that we table the request for the sign at this time.
Motion to table the sign. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you. Thank you.
You come back with something that'll work.
Absolutely. Didn't I email it to you? If not, I will. That's all.
That's all you got? Okay. Matt, did you have anything?
Nope, I don't have anything else.
Janet? Commissioner? Oh, we've got minutes to take care of.
Yeah.
I don't see anything wrong with them. I move we approve them.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion to approve the April 16th, 2018 minutes. We've got a second. Further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. I think Commissioner Amber took a look at the claims.
I did. And I would make a motion that we approve the payroll claims.
Got a motion to approve payroll claims.
Second.
Got a second. Further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
The normal claims, while somewhat voluminous, were all in good order. I didn't find anything wrong with them. I make a motion that we approve them.
Okay, we got a motion to approve the regular claims.
Second.
Got a second. Further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you. Okay, now, Commissioner. Anything?
I don't have anything at this time.
Commissioner? Okay, I've got a couple of things. First of all, I've got, Angie and I had been on a phone call with our eGov, which controls our website, our homepage, and what we're looking at doing is upgrading. They had a lot of good opportunities for us to upgrade the website so it's a lot easier to work with, and we'll be able to set up the website the way we'd like to see it also.
And it will make it mobile friendly, so if you pull it up on your phone, you'll be
Yeah.
able to actually view it.
Okay.
It resizes it
So
accurately.
people could find us and could get our phone numbers and stuff off their
Yes,
phone.
right now it doesn't like adjust.
No.
Right?
No,
and
it
it's very
wouldn't.
difficult to pull up on
No, it
any
wouldn't.
mobile device.
No, us older people have really issues with it.
I have issues with it, and I'm the webmaster.
Apps. I'd make a motion that we approve this through consulting. Did I say that right?
eGov
eGov
strategist.
Right, but I mean through the consulting fees?
Oh, yes, consulting fees. Yep.
Second.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, we've got a motion to approve the amendment agreement between Whitley County and eGov Strategies. And we've got a second. And this also is for a total of $8,750. And for this year, we'll have to pay the $26.25 to come out of consultant fees. And then the balance of $61.25 will be due after January 1st. And I would suggest we put that in as a CETA program.
Yep.
Any other discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
Is that up 31001?
That one probably.
Yep, and I think you need to print your name, Commissioner.
Is the consultant 31001? Okay. Thank you.
What kind of timetable are they looking to make this better?
This is what they're waiting on, so I'm sure that they're
Yeah.
ready to go.
They've been calling weekly.
But it's gonna be a long process. It's gonna take weeks to, and we'll be meeting with each department head to make sure that each section is set up to what they want.
Yeah.
And then we'll have training and,
You know, the one that I remember is I couldn't find the clerk's office on the homepage.
yes, it's tricky because it's actually listed under the courts, clerk of the courts.
Yeah.
So we
It's
tried to move it and put it in multiple locations, and you can actually find like the election just under a normal
Yeah, that's
department
good.
so that they could,
Yeah.
wouldn't have to search to
That's good, because
find.
that's exactly what I did. I looked,
Simple things.
finally found it under courts.
Yes, but it's not.
It's right, but it's wrong. When it comes to the website, it's wrong.
Well, and right now we're set up that, you know, when you hover, it brings you up more drop-down tabs, but it should bubble out differently, so you should be able to find things more easily
Yeah.
and not have to
Yeah.
go through multiple drop-down
Yeah.
tabs.
Yep.
So it should be a good thing. I have high
Oh, I
hopes.
hope
I was impressed with.
And it should also give us intranet access to, as another way to find stuff and not necessarily go through their shared drives, so
Okay.
it's a good thing.
Yep.
It'll help you older people.
Yeah, for us older folk.
We can't find my.
Then also, Mayor's and Commissioners Caucus of Northeast Indiana, I think we all got the letter about the $1,500 a year to be a member of the organization, to provide lobbyist meetings with legislators, and this is, also they're working with HPG Network to appropriate their paperwork now. So in attending the meetings, I've had, I think it's a good thing. We've got a lot of good interest in the Northeast Indiana from this, and it's getting the mayors and commissioners from the 11 counties together, and it gives us a little bit more pull, or
See, I look at it a little bit differently. It gets us out from underneath the Regional Chamber of Commerce.
Well, that's true. That's a lot of it,
We need to
too.
be the Mayor's Commissioner Caucus. Instead, we were listening to the Regional Chamber of Commerce. So I'd make a motion that we pay the dues out of dues and subscriptions.
Okay, I've got a motion to
Second.
approve the caucus fee of $1,500. We've got a second. Further discussions? All those in favor, raise your right hand. Opposed, the same. Thank you.
That's really why I quit going.
Yeah, well, we
Because,
had,
because that guy, you know who I'm talking about.
One
He was-
person.
He was running the shows. I'm thinking, this is the Mayor and Commissioner Caucus. Okay, good,
it's been a lot better.
good. Let me go.
Okay, that's all I have. Anyone from the public have anything? Joanne?
I would just like to make a suggestion.
Yes.
That when you get your website the way you think you want it, half a dozen people who are clueless about county government, that don't have a clue about what department is located where, and give them a list of things and see how difficult it is for them to find it.
Good idea.
Because what's user-friendly to those of you who are familiar with it can be totally off base with
Right.
somebody who doesn't understand.
I sense we have a chairman. No, you're absolutely right. I mean, because it isn't easy to get through, especially, you want the election department and you have to go through courts to find I mean, I get it. You're absolutely right, so.
But on a good note, Whitley County has one of the more user-friendly county websites that I.
Oh, can't be. It can't be.
Oh,
You should
trust
go
me.
to some of the others. 'Cause, I
Some
mean,
of the others
that
are
is a-
dismal, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Try to go to Vincent.
Wow.
It's a wild goose chase.
Yeah, that's probably a good idea to visit the other sites, but I just don't do it, so. But I've always liked ours, but I knew it lacked, it lacked in some spaces, so. Okay.
Okay, call for the motion.
Motion adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, everyone.
Nobody's.